The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. He missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Australia, Japan, Canada, and the United States. And now you can add Brazil to the list of countries the AMGSC has visited on its world tour. And a lot more space and runoff, and a lot more opportunities to get by traffic. The drivers are likely breathing a sigh of relief after the cramped quarters at Mosport. But the challenges are far from over at the Autodromus Jose Carlos Pace, a mix of high-speed sections with flat-out corners and a twisty technical infield is a cocktail of love and loathing served up to the competitors. Who will enjoy a colorful Brazilian celebration and who will be left between the lakes to cool off, we'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 7 of the Autobahn Motorcar Motor Group Sportscar Challenge, and you're watching it live as it happens here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Hola from the land of the Bossa Nova. Filling in for Joe Peak, who is on assignment, I'm Bill Soupson, and taking my spot covering the prototypes and the GT1 classes is Samuel Ryman. Doing his usual duties following the action in the GT3 cars is Michael Smitty Smith. Behind the scenes is our director Amjad Yaman, and he's using camera locations provided by Dougie Beard. Smitty, Formula One has made this place its home for a few decades now, and it seems to be very well loved by the fans in those circles. Tell us a little bit about Interlagos.
Well, as you say, Bill, I mean, Brazil is a fan favorite, is a driver favorite for F1 drivers, but you know what? In the tight confines of this group, this Motorcar Sports Car group, the Autobahn guys, they love this place. It's a lot of little twisties, turnings. You got some up and down. You got a little bit of everything. It's a lot of fun, and you know what? Today's not going to be that much different than what we saw last time, where the temperature's going to be pretty good, the grip's going to be pretty good. These guys got good opportunity to pass. They got some tough spots if you're a HPD guy because of the traffic, but at the same time, plenty of spots to make things happen. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of twists and turns, and strategy will still be a play here in this 60-minute race. Get a little bit closer look at just how to get around Brazil. We're going to jump on board the GSRC member for tonight's lap guide.
All right, we've got Kevin Brown behind the wheel of the GSRC BMW, so let's do a lap around Interlagos. Turn 1 is a great chance for a pass, but with the way it switches back into 2, it's possible to defend from the outside, so watch for guys trying different things through here. Now we head through the Curva del Sol. It's flat out through this sweeping left-hander and feeds you onto the backstretch. At the end of this is 4, which is another good place to try and outbrake your opponent, and since it's a bit more straightforward, it's probably a better spot to get it done. The track really drops away here, so the car tends to want to push wide. Just watch out for that wheel spin like Kevin gets as you feed on the power. Now we head into the more technical portion of the circuit. 6 and 7 are going to be a double apexer with a big rise at the end. With the track being modernized, there's lots of paved runoff to the outside if you lose it. Then there's not much time before you're breaking into 8. You can really get away with taking tons of curb on the inside here. Right away, you've got a slow left-hander. There's lots of crazy camber going on here too, so keep it nice and tucked on the inside. Now we've got a curved straight that feeds us into the duckspill. Once again, lots of curb on the inside that you can take, so now's your chance to be greedy with it. One more time, compromise the exit and give yourself the best entry possible into 11. It's flat out if you hit it right, and you'll want to use every inch of the circuit. Now it's heavy braking for 12, possibly the most important corner of the lap. Get a bad exit, and you'll lose precious seconds all the way to the line. In these cars, you won't lift until you get back to turn 1, so from here it's simply a matter of putting as little steering angle in as possible. As has become custom, you'll want to chop off the pit entry to really shorten the run. But that's a lap around Interlagos.
Joe Peak narrates you around a lap at Interlagos. Now let's go ahead and talk about the points. But first, for new viewers, when it comes to the team championship, know that teams are comprised of no more than 3 drivers, 1 from each class, with each driver's race total contributing to that team's race points. And there is an ironing cap that keeps teams from loading up on top-tier talent. All right, to the team championship. A win from Robert Tinsley, a 3rd from Brandon Postma, and a 4th from Jim McGinnis was more than enough for Talon Motorsports to win the day at Mosport and increase its lead. While Talon is comfortably out in front, the next spots are closely contested. Now, Stephen McGarvey got back to business, winning at Mosport in the GT1, and that moved TMC Carbon back up into 2nd. Chance Kelly earned a top 5 in the prototypes. Now, you couple that with John Packman Paquin's win, that shot P1 Sim Racing up 2 spots into 3rd. Making room for the teams moving up were Excelsior Racing and Mean Beaver Racing, both dropping a few positions but remaining in the top 5. To the driver championship in the prototypes. Now it's Bob the Blade Tinsley is going to be hard to catch, but things have shuffled up behind the Talon star. John Big Cheens Ulmer, what he did was cash in on some drop insurance to make up for the 10th place finish up in Canada, and strange as it may sound, he actually climbed up into 2nd. Excelsior's Jason Gerard held station in 3rd. Making his first appearance on the chart is the Flying Snail Racing Kevin Santana. Patrick Wolf has bowed out of the series and is probably making his last chart appearance. Going to the GT1 class, after a pair of 6th place finishes at Daytona and Coda, Stephen Popeye McGarvey got back on track, picking up his 3rd win up north. But Brandon Postma is still very much in the hunt for the championship, not only trailing by only 11 points, but Postma has 30 points in his pocket in case of disaster or a no-show. Chase Hudson had to start from the pits thanks to his aggressive Coda first corner. Things went from bad to worse for the Mama Jean Racing driver, causing him to fall down into 5th from 3rd, making room for Billy Smith, who has slowly but surely upped his game, not quite to the level we saw him when he was racing the Caddies, but enough to be a legitimate threat to win the crown. Also up a spot into 4th is Paul Lindsay. And then finally, because of the dropped race insurance, P1 Racing's John Packman Paquin is going to be really hard to catch. But there to pounce if hard times befall Paquin is Paul Darling in Team OFW. TMC Carbon's Dave Hill remains in 3rd, 9 points ahead of Patrick Fleming, now up to 4th. Former champion from 2 seasons ago, Talon's Jim Carpool McGinnis cracks the chart, now sitting in the top 5. So there you go. Those are your 4 champions to keep an eye on. But let's stop focusing on the big picture. Let's look more specifically. We're going to go over to Sam now to tell us a little bit about what we have in store for us in the next 60 minutes that's coming up.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. We got 3 minutes left of qualifying here before we begin a 60-minute race around this Autodromo Carlos Pace down in Brazil. And all of the cars, there's 3 different classes, as you just read out in the points there. There's prototypes made up of the high downforce machines there, and then in GT1 you have got the Corvettes and the Aston Martins, and then GT3 you have got the BMWs as well as the Mercedes, and they're all going to be racing on the track at the same time. They're all finishing up by qualifying right now, and as expected, they've pretty much qualified in with their respective classes, with Robert Tinsley currently sitting on provisional pole. But when we do get racing here, these drivers have they don't have enough fuel to make it all the way to the end. Now, they can do 1 stop or they can do 2 stops over the course of an hour race, but let's be honest, 1 stop is probably what you're going to want to do. Fortunately, tyre wear shouldn't be too much of a concern for these drivers. The track temperature is 96 degrees Fahrenheit, it's 84 degrees up in the sky. That's not too bad for these summer days, although mind you, we're in the southern hemisphere here, isn't it? They're probably about to come into their summer. So, there's a really solid track temperature there. Now, when they start the race, and I believe you just saw Ryan Bird coming out of the Senate S's there, turns 1, 2 and 3, that is going to be a trouble zone right at the drop of a green flag for all 3 classes. And the big problem there is that, well, the big problem there is that they could have contact. The good news is they all get 1 free repair, but the problem is, Bill, even though you can take a free repair, you're not going to want to do that in an hour race. I mean, you don't have enough time to recover, so you really do want to try and keep your car in one piece, and the easiest place to not do that is turn 1, lap 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just to follow up on the hemisphere thing, if it's just me, but if you're going to have the Summer Olympics, don't you actually have to have it in the summertime? I think Brazil, you had it in the winter, if I know my geography right, but that's just me. Summer Olympics belong in summer. Let's move over to something else here. Now, on the script that was so kindly written for me by Joe Peak before he had to leave us, he put in this line about a cocktail of love and loathing, referring to the driver's feeling about Interlagos. Smitty, how do you feel about this track?
Well, I like her because she's nice and smooth. You know what I mean? But seriously, she's got some curves to her. She flows real nice. I mean, you can actually get into a rhythm here. You can hit your marks. It's real good. But once the traffic starts happening, once you start racing a little bit, you can get thrown off your marks a little. And actually, from there, you can actually take a couple of laps to get back in the rhythm. There's a few trouble spots that you want to watch out for. Going down into the center S's, that's going to be a little bit tough. Mainly because we're going the fastest we possibly can on this course to one of the slowest parts, if not the slowest part on the circuit. And it's not exactly a too wide kind of thing. Regardless, that's going to be a big spot. The next straightaway between 3 and 4 will be big. And then after that, you got the long twisties, and you got to get back single file before you get down the main straightaway.
Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go right to the grid right now. Qualifying's not quite done, but I think it's pretty official, and there's a short pace lap here, so we got a lot of drivers to get in. So let's go ahead and put the qualifying up there right now, and I'm going to run down the top 10 before I turn it over to my partner, Sam, here. Up on the pole, it is Robert Tinsey. Now, we're looking at prototypes here. Outside of him on row 1 is Jason Girard. John Ulmer is going to be on the inside of row 2. Now, here's a name to keep an eye on that we know from the Pacific Majors series. David Williams. He says he's not up to his usual talents here today. He doesn't have the prep in yet. I think he's soft selling himself. Keep an eye on David Williams running in the 4th spot to be somebody to keep to watch move up the field. Mark Ponnick in 5th position. Outside of him, Matt Quinn. Kevin Santana, we saw break into the top 5 for the first time. Sheldon Rosenblum in 8th. And I'm going to round out the top 10 here with John O'Day. Look at a large field of prototypes here today. Dino Topic in 10th. Sam?
Yeah, you go into the second set of 10 cars here. Mark Wilson and Christopher Simmons and Matt Owens all in the prototypes. Then, once you get back to 14th place here, you have a first GT1 machine. That is Stephen McGarvey. And then lined up in the row behind him will be Brandon Postma and Chase Hudson. Roberto Montero and Paul Lindsay on row 9, rounding out the top 10. Brandon Guarci... I'm going to butcher that name. Brandon and Leif Peterson lined up in 20th. They're all in GT1 cars there, Smithy.
After that, you've got Billy Smith. He's going to be lining up 21st, followed by David Sockrider, 22nd, and Christopher Sherburne there in 23rd. That's their last of the GT1 drivers. Then you got Poleman in the GT3's John Pac-Man Paquin, making things happen once again in the GT3's front of the group, 24th overall. Ross Booth, strong quality position there, 25th, second overall in that group. Ryan Birds, 26th. Patrick Fleming, 27th. Paul Darling, last year's champ, 28th. Dave Hill, 29th. Robert Jackman, 30th. Bill?
Back there in 31st, he's in the top 5 on the charts, but well down the list in qualifying. Jim Carpool McGinnis, Emmanuel Agiri in 32nd position. David Henry just joining Mama Jean Racing today, going to start from 33rd in his Mercedes. McGill Meyer in 34th. Robert Schlenka and Sheldon Walushin back there in 35th and 36th. 2 drivers in the very back. Jeffrey Price, not sure if he's actually going to put it in, take the grid. He didn't put in a qualifying time, and the same for Brett Trozine. I know Brett is having hardware issues. He's hopefully going to be able to race here today. Okay, a large field today, 38 drivers. What's unusual is to have such a large field in the prototypes. Usually this series is pretty much mirrors what they do in real life racing, where the expensive classes are a little smaller than the cheaper classes, usually the GT3s. If you go to see one of these races in real life, a lot of GTs, not so many prototypes. Today, a lot of prototypes, and we think one of the reasons might be we have an extra one. We think Sheldon Rosenblum might have signed in by mistake as a prototype, either that or he made the switch to that class, and I didn't mark it in my notes. Okay, look at those multicolored cars all lining up for a very short pace lap here. Let's go ahead. We have time for do our usual predictions. I know, Smitty, you haven't been watching too much, but who do you like for winners in your 2 classes?
Well, it's hard to go against John Paquin. He's got 5/10 on the rest of the field. Oh, Paquin's got to be the guy in GT3 for sure. In some of the other classes, I don't know. I like to see a little something different. I like to see McGarvey try to hold on up top, but I like Chase Hudson there in third place in GT1. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, well, like I say, in GT1, the times are quite competitive in qualifying. It's really hard to pick a favourite. The top 3 cars there were all within a few tenths of a second. But when it comes to prototype, I'm actually going to go with Jason Gerard. It's been a while since I've watched him in action, but from what I recall, he's a very good driver at being fast, but also staying out of trouble. John Olmo, I've seen him get in trouble in the past, and I believe I've seen it happen to Robert Tinsley as well. I just think Jason Gerard is going to be hanging around there in second place and ready to pounce, because as tricky as this track is, and there's a lot of traffic, and also it's a relatively short lap, only 1 minute 20 seconds for these prototypes, they are going to have to deal with traffic and be patient today, and I just know Jason Gerard's good at that. I'm going to keep an eye on that number 2 machine.
All the drivers gridded up on the back half of the track. This will give you a good chance to see them work through this windy section back here. It goes, there's the hard right-hander, then like 180 degree, the right-hander, then the 180 degree left-hander, and back for another 180 degree right-hander. It winds back and forth. Then it comes up for some of these longer corners. You see that beautiful gold-plated Mustang leading the field. Keep an eye now if you want to pick out the drivers that we're going to be talking about. On your screen, the Robert Tinsley is going to be in the, give you a color there if I can, and my directors will help me. It's kind of a white, light colored car. I'm going to say white and light blue. We'll go with that color. They give me the confirmation on that. Gerard on the outside in that race spot machine there in the Phoenix colors. Okay, pace car now working around. This is not the final corner. I like to think of it as the final corner, but it's really the only corner that you have to worry about. On the lap guides, they show this little dog leg here before the pit entrance. They classify that as your final corner. Pace car will be pulling off soon. Another thing to note is when they're racing that the drivers will come across that, look at that pit entry line. You're going to see them come way across that line to get a good angle through that little dog leg final corner. Pace car pulls off. There she goes. Tinsley pacing the field. Gather up the chickens, take cover behind the cows because the horses are out of the barn, and Robert Tinsley leads them down into the first corner. 2 by 2 behind him. That's Gerard on the middle now. Look at that black and yellow machine. That's John Ulmer on the inside. Big Cheese going to take that position. Sam, what do you got going on in GT1s?
Brandon Postma did not get off to a good start. Stephen McGarvey really got the jump on them, but he does not lead through the center exits. Chase Hudson actually makes a move for the top spot there, Smithy.
In GT3, it's all Pac-Man Paquin out front, but it was side-by-side, still is side-by-side between Booth and Bird. The 2Bs going down to the back straightaway is going to be Booth in front. It's now 4 trains, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, all in a row with Pac-Man out front.
Let's again, as usual, stay on the GT3s for a while because, my goodness, they are lined up like Smitty just said. That's Booth out in front, and now a spin. That goes
That's
Brian
Bird.
Bird
is around.
Loop it around. Didn't hit anything, just going to lose a few positions. In fact, he's going to lose all of the positions.
Looked like he just lost as he came around the corner. As you say, did not hit anything, but unfortunately lost everything he had. He was running P3 at the time.
Well, since that broke up a little bit, let's go up to the prototypes now. We'll run down the... Oh, we got David Williams spinning, apparently. Williams? We'll see if we can find it on the replay. Williams says, yeah, sure enough. Williams was running in 4th position at the time. See him in that yellow car.
Looks like he just had too much curb on entry there. Did not like it very much. Lost the back end on entry.
Everybody gets by him. Matt Owens actually almost came to a complete stop, but everybody misses him. David Williams is able to stay ahead of all the GT1 cars, but not by much. Chase Hudson's right behind him. Let's go, since we're going to go to prototypes. We saw that. Let's go down to GT1. Smitty, looks like we have Chase Hudson out in the lead.
Indeed, it looks like Chase Hudson's got actually a pretty good lead over it. It looks like behind him, Stephen McGarvey and Brandon Postma, 2nd and 3rd, pretty close behind him. Sam, you've been keeping an eye on the GT1s. What have you seen?
Yeah, well, I was checking that they wouldn't get mixed up with the tail end of the prototypes there, because David Williams, when he came back on course, dropped to the back of that field. He's just already picked off positions from Sheldon Rosenbaum, who I think went off course this lap. So, but fortunately, it didn't really mix up the GT1 guys there. But, I mean, really, the story of the race so far, and this is a pretty obvious thing to say, was the race into Turn 1. The fact that Stephen McGarvey looked like he had completely got the jump on the field, but he was back down to second before they got into Turn 2, and just a horrible start there that the driver alongside him got there, Brandon Postman, I believe it was. But they're all sorted out now. Hudson ahead of McGarvey, ahead of Postman.
As we look off the back of McGarvey there, and now we have trouble with Topic. Well, Dino Topic has spun the car. We'll see if we can find it on the replay.
It's interesting, Bill. All these drivers taking the prototypes, thinking, hey, it's got a good flow around here, and the prototypes of the class have been struggling early.
There's, you see Dino right there in that prototype, in between the two GT1 machines now. So what we'll do, if things will settle down, if these drivers will do it, we'll try to run down the top 5 in each of the classes, and we'll see if the lead announcer can remember what commentator is covering what class. Let's start me. I'll take the front ones. Robert Tinsley out in front. He's got 1.5 seconds over John Ulmer. Ulmer with about a 2-second lead now. Ulmer having a nice run. Remember, he started third, got around Gerard up into second. Gerard running in third position with about a 1.5 second lead back to Mark Ponick. I think we're going to go with Ponick, I believe is how Joe pronounces it. And that takes you back to Matt Quinn running in fifth. And remember that the driver who was up there who spun was David Williams. Now, let's go to Sam to talk about Chase Hudson leading the GT1s.
Yes, Chase Hudson is, but the battle for second. Meanwhile, we got another prototype off in Turn 1 and 2, Christopher Simmons, but he's back on course okay. Probably lost a bit of time though. But the battle for second in GT1 was heating up between Stephen McGarvey and Brandon Postma, but then what happened, that got broken up as Dino Topic tried to rally his way back up through this field. Paul Lindsay and Roberto Montero currently round out the top 5 in GT1, Smithy.
Well, in GT3, it's still Pac-Man Paquin out front. He's led from pole. He's been the guy to beat. Kind of pulling away from everybody else. On behind him, you got Ross Booth in second. He's actually got a little bit of a gap back to Patrick Fleming in third, who's got just behind him Paul Darling, and then a little bit further back from him, Robert Jackman. One thing I want to point out here in the GT3s, it looks like maybe they've gone with a couple different gearing options. I'm seeing some guys pull up and fall back on the straightaways. I wonder if some guys have favored a couple different ideas. Or maybe just the way they're getting out of the corner. Early days yet here at Brazil, but some of these guys are better in certain sections of the course.
Let's leave the camera on this Ross Booth battle right now, running for second. Remember, Bird was also in this mix until he spun. Looks like Booth is... let's get this right. Booth is up there running the lead car there. It looks like Fleming's really going to give him a challenge.
Yeah, Fleming's been right on the back bumper, especially here in the twisty bits. He's been right on the back bumper of Booth. Booth has been able to stretch it out coming off the corner. And Fleming has actually had Paul Darling right on the back bumper of him on the main straightaways when we get to the faster parts. As you can see him coming down to this corner here, it's again going to be Fleming getting a bit of a run coming out here. You see Darling, the dark blue car, on the edge of your screen. He's going to try to get a bit of a run. It really is second, third, and fourth all in a line here in GT3.
And it's all Mercedes up there. If we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we got to get all the way down to, I guess, Retrozine before we get to our first BMW. Let's go back up now as we go check. Oh, what in the are we looking at? What am we looking at? Put the hammer in the oven because the camel has learned how to read. I don't know what I just looked at.
I wonder if we had one of those very rare, but sometimes happens, that there's a bit of a glitch. You get close to the wall, and sometimes it'll grab you, and it looks like Trozine maybe a little too close to the wall, and it, unfortunately, It's ended his night.
Well, that's a rough way to go out. One more time for above, for those of you a glutton for punishment.
Our director, obviously a big Brett Trozine fan.
Thank goodness that Dougie Beard put that camera so high up in the sky, or that car was going to bump into the blimp. Well,
Charlie Whiten, here's how you resolve track limits in F1.
That's well said, Sam. Okay, well, now that we've seen that, that's too bad for Brett. He's got to be wondering what in the world happened. All right, let's go up to our prototype leader now again. It's Robert Tinsey. We are not going to leave the camera on him too much until he starts to get into traffic, and that's coming up right now. So let's stay on this for a second. He's coming up behind the car of David Henry. He gets through these GT3 drivers that are back to the pack. He's got Henry to get around, and then just ahead of him, Robert Schlenker. So this is one of the most exciting parts of the race. Easy to do there as he goes around the outside. Then he goes, let's see, is he going to go on the inside between, oh my goodness, nice job. He scares Selenka out to the right. Tinsey negotiates that. Nicely done from Bob the Blade is his new nickname, he says. He's coming up now on Emmanuel Ijiri. Going to go on the outside of that, and I think he's going to keep that momentum around. Is he going to go around Sheldon Volusia? Nope, going to duck underneath. Oh, we hear the cheese is off the pizza. Something has happened to John Ulmer. We go to the replay. There's the black and yellow car, Sam. Spun it in the
That time bites you.
That's the second time we've seen it. I mean, last time we saw David Williams on top of a curb on entry, kind of get the car going around. With Ulmer there, maybe too much rear brake bias, perhaps, not sure. Too much brake and turning at the same time, and that back end stepped out. You had nowhere to go. You just had to hold on.
Now, I think that happened even before he got into the traffic, so that's going to move Jason Girard up into second spot right now as he continues to negotiate his way through those GT3 back markers.
GT1 up front is about to get interesting. The fight's not on yet, although it will be if Trace Hudson keeps missing apexes like he did through turn 4 right there. And actually brings Stephen McGarvey up. This is an overtaking opportunity here. Maybe on the final lap. It's not going to happen there though. But yeah, Stephen McGarvey has run Trace Hudson down for the lead. And he's brought a lot of cars with him, and I think Trace is worrying about these cars too much. He is racing a lot of defensive lines. I think it's actually slowing him down a little bit. But for now, he keeps the lead. This is lap 7. Still a long way to go, though. We're only 10 minutes through this 1-hour race.
Well, I think he said something pretty insightful, though. Oh, as McGarvey gets really wide, he's going to be able to bring it back on. That's right in front of Postma. I'm not so sure if McGarvey is running down Hudson, but I think it's more like you said. I think Hudson's fallen back into the clutches of McGarvey, Postma, Lindsay back there too. And then a newcomer, Roberto Montero. There's a name we don't know very much. Having a good run, running now 5th overall in class. Welcome to the series, Roberto.
Could be a battle for second here. Postma was thinking about it, but then saw the landmine stuck on the wall there, so backed out from the outside and remains in 3rd.
So a very nice 5-car battle up in front of the GT1s. That'll be even more interesting when the leaders of the prototypes get there.
Speaking of the battles changing a little bit when other classes get through, I mean, the prototypes are actually able to slice through pretty quickly. The GT1s and the GT3s, we're not seeing huge differences in the twisty parts. In fact, in qualifying, not huge amounts of time difference between the two. So once we start getting the GT1s finding the GT3s, things will get interesting in a big hurry.
You were looking there at Paul Lindsay running in 4th. And now we're looking at the prototypes for a 3rd position battle for 3rd. That's Mark Ponick being closely chased by Matt Quinn. Now they're trying to get around Dave Hill. Dave Hill does a good job keeping that car to the inside. Ponick out in front in that kind of blue and black machine. Look at the run here that Quinn's going to get. We've done a lot of these series. Ponick and Quinn seem to run together all the time. And honestly, going to tell our director said we have a battle for P3. I'm not sure if this really is a battle. I've seen these guys run nose to tail a lot of times. They seem to get out and just have a nice little drive together. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now we'll go down to Smitty as we look at Ross Booth.
There, I'm sorry, Bill, I think a battle for the lead might be on GT1 again, but Hudson goes defensive on the run down to turn 4, but Stephen McGarvey is right on his rear bumper. If Hudson misses an apex, McGarvey will be there.
And Sam, to Bill's point about watching these guys run around for a while and going single file, these are two guys that do not just hang out and run single file. These guys will battle it out all the way down. These guys are going to fight.
Yeah, Hudson and McGarvey both post-Mac, they're running 3. And all these guys are up on the top of the charts, and that was a very close battle in the points here. So this has big ramifications. Nice battle going on. Now the car out in front, that's the Mama Jean machine. That's the purple and black of Chase Hudson being challenged by McGarvey in the TMC car, TMC Carbon. Talon Racing, Postma behind him, then Lindsay back there running in 4th.
But Hudson gets a bit of a gap where really McGarvey needs to be right on the back of him. He'll get a good toe going down the front straight. He won't be able to make anything here, but the nice thing about this circuit is you can, if you can't make a pass into one, you can at least back off a little bit and set yourself up for a good run in 4. Problem McGarvey had there was, I think he was way late on the brakes, and that might hurt him through the S's, and you can see sure enough Hudson opens up a bit of a gap as they come out on turn 3. Oh, and Brandon Postma's been running off a lot. I mean, you can only take 24 incident points during this race until the server will kick you out. And I'm very curious to know how much Postma's accumulated, because that's not the first time I saw him off course coming out of turn 3. He's been off a few times.
Yeah, and we've seen the incident points come into effect. We've had drivers actually disqualified on the final corner of a race after 90 minutes or 60 minutes of racing, where they just reached that limit. Now let's look at Hudson here as he's going to get around. He's negotiating around the lap car. And there's a pass. Now look in the middle. That's the car on the outside. That's the lap car they're trying to get around of the GT1. That's Woloshin. But able to make the move. McGarvey holding up Postma. Postma's going to try to peek in there again. Postma not able to get in there as McGarvey closes the door. Postma tried to take an opportunity when McGarvey got held up by Woloshin, but it's not going to happen. What that did happen, though, what that did mean was got a little breathing room for Chase Hudson.
Yeah, absolutely it did, but will Hudson be able to hold on to this? Because we've seen him have a bit of breathing room, and he locks up, but keeps it pointing in the right direction. We've seen Hudson had a big lead at the start of this race, and he lost all that. I definitely think the rest of the top 5 here is still within striking range.
Real quickly, let's take the attention over to Matt Quinn again. We talked about Quinn and Ponick. The only reason I bring this up is these guys may need to pick it up a little bit because John Ulmer's got his car back on track and is running some hot laps. He's going to be up in the mix here behind Ponick pretty soon. It's 4 seconds now. We'll come back in a little while when Ulmer gets there. David Williams has apparently had a problem. Williams making the pass around Kevin Santana. Williams moves up into 6th position. And Kevin Santana, who cracked up into the top 5 on the charts, now running in 7th. Nice shot from Williams. So Williams and Ulmer, 2 cars that have spun, back on the hunt here, running these guys down. Smitty, let's go down and talk about John Paquin for a minute. We haven't heard much from him. Let's see how he's doing. Maybe run down some of the guys.
Yeah, let's give him a little bit of screen time. Here it is. Screen time. That's Pac-Man. He's getting it done. He's actually phenomenal. He just, bye-bye. He's out of here. Right now, you're on screen. You see the real fight in this class. It's Ross Booth and Patrick Fleming. These guys have had a bit of ebb and flow. Ross Booth in that blue and white car, he is in 2nd, leading the bunch. You see his prototypes going to try and slice their way through. Right behind him is Patrick Fleming. Now, I say ebb and flow. It's because these guys have had to play their cars just right as traffic gets through, with Fleming trying to find a little bit of an advantage every time, but Booth has been able to hold on. As you see once again, right there, Fleming diving in deep, trying to make sure that he's got the best opportunity possible to lose the least amount of time. Look at how much that gap lengthens there. Now watch, these prototypes are going to go by. To boost credit, it's going to happen on the straightaway here. He's going to lose a lot less time. Fleming's going to have to get to work, starting with the S's.
As we look there at Paul Darling, you know, usually we see Darling running a little bit more competitively. He is competitive, but the last race he was able to give Paquin a real battle there, make him work harder. Paquin out there having one of his traditional races all by himself. All right, we got to go back. I'm sorry, Smitty. We got to go back to the leader here in the GT1s, because after that problem with traffic, Sam, McGarvey's be able to run back up behind Hudson. Clearly, McGarvey has the pace. He just can't figure out a way to get around that purple and black machine.
Yeah, he got a good run off of the last turn there, though, that time. So I wonder if that'll help him. These two are both in Corvettes, so one shouldn't have too much of a performance advantage over the other unless their setups are different, particularly on their gear ratios. Hudson, you can see, is trying to drive very defensive. He swerves around a lot and he locks up. He swerves around a lot on the straights, but McGarvey's just holding the line, and McGarvey got very close to him in the middle of the centre S there, but that actually hurt him. He had to back off, and that'll actually kill his momentum out of 3 here a bit. Once again, Hudson goes defensive, McGarvey just sticks to the racing line and gets close again. Overtaking opportunities are not absent yet though, they got another one coming up here at the top of the hill, but Hudson gets a good run out of turn 4 and he'll be able to hold on to the lead for another lap. Oh, but will McGarvey be able to hold on to second? Yes is the answer, but Postma thought about it.
You've heard us talk about drivers in the popcorn position. Well, this is what it means. Back there, Brandon Postma watching the excitement up ahead of them, McGarvey and Hudson, and now he's decided to put down the popcorn and maybe get into the show himself, as this is turning into a great 3-car battle.
And one driver who's going to mix it up a bit soon is our race leader, Robert Tinsley. He is at the tail end of the top 5. We've been seeing the top 5 GT1 cars run nose to tail pretty much the whole race long. He's been held up a bit here by Roberto Montero, but he can afford to do that. He's got a 6-second lead. He just needs to keep his car in one piece. But it will be interesting seeing when he gets around to the top 3 if McGarvey will try and use that to help him get by Hudson. But as I go down into turn 1 again, Hudson seems to be locking up the left front every time they go into the first turn. This lap he doesn't do it.
And this is where Bob the Blade's going to have to understand what's going on up here. I'm not sure how much consideration he's going to be shown by these guys. He gets around Postma and now tucks in behind McGarvey.
Well,
Go ahead, Smitty.
I was going to say, the one thing that Tinsley is really good about, though, is managing his race. Is he going to slot in behind the front 2 drivers in GT1. He knows he's got a pretty good advantage back to second place Jason Gerard, and he's not pushing too hard. He's not making it, oh my gosh, to try to get around these guys. Now he has clean air once again, just by being, well, mildly patient.
That was nice.
That was some nice blade work by Bob there. But you know, that's not the end of the story, because it won't be too long, because here comes Jason Gerard. Maybe this gives us a chance to get a little screen time to Gerard, as he has to do the same thing through these same 5 cars that are battling. Gerard running second in class. I just want to sneak in here and see how that battle, we don't need to go there, but I'll look to see how Ponik is doing. Ponik still with about 3 seconds on Ulmer, so that hasn't closed down yet. Oh my goodness. That was Roberto Montero making no room, and a little flashing lights back there from Gerard saying, let's try it this way. This is going to work a little easier, as he ducks that car to the inside of 1. He gets Montero and he gets Lindsay.
Yeah, Tinsley's able to be patient on his way through. Gerard not so much if he's trying to make headway.
Let's go up to the front.
Yeah, here we go. McGarvey got a good run out of 4, but he's on the bad side. They have GT3 traffic. They get by it.
Yeah, Hudson had Shalinka out there as a pick, and he kind of left no room for McGarvey to get around. Shalinka doing a good job of getting out of the way. Well, there was no way to make a 3-car pass, and that's going to bring Postma back up into the mix. A great battle going on now behind Postma, McGarvey, and Hudson. Here comes Gerard, the second place driver. He's going to duck into the inside. There goes the prototype. Gets that one done.
And John Ulmer has begun our only round of pit stops in prototype. As a matter of fact, there's a couple cars in pit road, and you've got to wonder here, as Stephen McGarvey tries to take the apex, while Jason Gerard was there passing on the inside of him, but fortunately no harm, no foul. I almost wonder if Stephen McGarvey needs to pit here. He needs to try something to get in front of Hudson. I think he's faster.
Yeah, I would come in the first chance he can. And one of the drivers who just came in is John Big Cheese Ulmer came in. And we're thinking that maybe that prototype, he came in with about 38 minutes to go, might be able to go the distance from there. So we'll keep an eye on Ulmer, see if he can sneak by, pull up fast one there, and we'll watch him. He's going to fall back in the standings, but he'll be moving up when the pits come in. And meanwhile, Gerard is able to get around those three drivers up in front, which I hate to leave, but let's go ahead back to Smitty and see what's going on back there, because there was a good battle before we left.
There was a good battle, but now actually the battle is what was on screen, and that the GT1 class. GT3 is spread out a bit. Patrick Fleming was the guy putting pressure on Booth in P2, but that's actually spread out a little bit. These three drivers, Booth, Fleming, and Darling, the closest fight in GT3. These three drivers ebb and flow, as I had mentioned before. It's all about traffic. And right now it's Pac-Man out front, and these three guys putting on the rest of the show for the podium.
As we look at Booth right now running in third position in the GT3s.
See on screen right there, that is Hill. We're centered on right there. And just behind him, the green car, that is Ryan Bird. Remember, Bird, who spun out of the top three. So Bird trying to make his way back up, slowly but surely, and trying to find, maybe he can find a top five, but he's got a long way to go. Right now, his first person to fight, Dave Hill.
Yeah, Bird making his way all the way back up from his spin, doing a good job. Nothing going on up there in GT1s. I'm keeping an eye on that while we watch Bird. I got one eye there, one eye on that green colored Bird, making a move, seeing if he can get around Dave Hill. He's got a little ways to go. That is a battle for, if I count down, we'll show on the screen, what is that, battle for 6? Is that what I'm seeing there? Yeah, 6. Okay, let's go to the, whoops, sorry, I made a mistake. I thought this GT1 passed, but no, it was not. Didn't mean to alarm you guys. Yelling fire in the theater.
Yeah, that's been a change for fourth in GT1. We'd been watching Montero, I believe, has got gained a position.
Well, now this is going to be interesting. Let's go ahead and put the camera on Mark Koenig here, running in third overall in the prototypes, because now he's coming up behind these guys. He's got Postma. This is going to be real exciting, Sam, because not only is it going to be Postma having to get through, but it's the guy who's been chasing both the Mac Quinn, so we have a couple prototypes making their way through here.
Koenig gets by Postma, okay. Postma locks up as they go through the right hand of the hairpin. That's really the tightest turn on the course. And now Koenig has a nice round on McGarvey going down the turn 12. McGarvey, though, tries to shut the door, but now these prototypes should be able to clear this traffic on this long run. Although, granted, it's not really a straight here. It kind of curves to the left all the way around, and that can make a difference. But let's see, Matt Quinn should have McGarvey cleared, and in fact Postman goes into the pits, and Quinn should have McGarvey cleared as they go into the first turn, and I think that's really, that's the excitement over for now. But it will be interesting, they're about to both go by Hudson. How much will this hurt Hudson? My guess is probably not a lot. I'll keep an eye on it. Yeah, it looks like Hudson should be able to keep the lead.
Hudson did a good job, I guess, getting over into the racing line. He had to come over to the right sometime. He decided to do it right in front of Quinn, but Quinn knew what was going on. But the big beneficiary out of that was Hudson. Really picked up some spots on McGarvey, some time on McGarvey, but McGarvey has the pace to run him down. And just to follow up what just happened there, Brandon Postma, I think he said, I'm faster than both of you guys. I'm going to come in now, get my pit stop out of the way, run some hot laps. And when you guys come in, don't be surprised if you're going to be looking at my tail. So Postma comes in and gets out. Paquin still out in front in the GT3s.
In GT3s right now, one thing I want to take a look at is that Ryan Bird battle. Remember we were talking about Ryan Bird trying to find his way around Dave Hill? Done and dusted. He has already made his way up to 6th. He made his way around Dave Hill there, and now he's setting his sights on Robert Jackman. Just to give you an idea, remember, Ryan Bird was that guy in the top 3. He qualified up there. He's got a fast ride underneath him. He's trying to make up for that mistake early on, and he is making tracks. Right now on screen, you got Robert Jackman, who's going to have Ryan Bird run on the back bumper here very, very quickly. That green Mercedes is very quick with Ryan Bird behind the wheel. Don't expect it to be too long before we're going to see a battle between these two.
Yeah, let's stay on this one for a little while, and we've had another pit stop in and out from, who was that, director? Jason Gerard, pitting from 2nd spot in the prototypes have come in, so we're still waiting for Tinsey. In fact, when Tinsey comes in to make a stop, we'll go ahead and put the camera on Gerard and watch him get out. But meanwhile, let's stay on this battle here with Bird, though. This is going to be exciting. Bird right up now behind what Spitty just talked about. He's going to go, Jackman's really in trouble now. Oh, that green, it's got that green, what is that? Is that not, it's not a
Mercedes.
BMW, that's a Mercedes, yeah.
Yeah, Bird's on it right now. He's putting the pressure on pretty good. And remember, too, you being up front, he knows how to get around here. Just behind him, though, he's got some P2 drivers, some prototype drivers coming up behind him. He's going to take a look at the inside here. Not going to do it here. He's going to want a decent run coming off this corner, have a good shot at it, but he knows these prototypes are coming. Here they go side by side, 3 wide for a second.
Oh!
We're having some fun here in prototypes and GT3s.
They split Jackman, and that's going to be a pass for position. Now on the inside, that's Quinn in the red machine, Ponik on the blue and black machine on the outside, and finally, thanks to some traffic, it looks like Quinn's going to get the job done. He keeps Ponik wide, not able to letting Ponik to turn in. Nice job from Ponik. So we have moving up now. It's 2nd overall, but keep in mind that Gerard has come in for a spot, so it's really a podium spot once Gerard gets out there. Some good racing going on back there.
Billy, I thought you said those two guys are going to go nose to tail for a while.
I know. Well, I guess he decided to take the opportunity when he could.
But traffic gives the opportunity. You got to take it. Once again, these guys right here on your screen fighting for 2nd. They have not yet made their pit stop in GT3s. That fight still broils. It is Jackman and Bird that we're looking at right now. It is the green car of Bird. Jackman just in front. This is 6th and 5th. The top 5 Bird's trying to get back into. Right on the back bumper. There he is. This is the slowest part of the course. His left-hander. As they come around here, going to have another right and then a second right. He's going to try and stay right with him if he has an opportunity. Best spot's going to be coming off that straightaway into the center S. Let's see what he does.
Jackman up there's not going to have the help this time of some prototypes coming through to save him. I think Bird had him lined up last time, had him marked, and then it had to break up, let Ponik and Quinn go through. But now that's not going to happen this time, so we'll see. Of course, pit stops could be coming anytime as we've just crossed the halfway mark. I lied. Here comes the prototype of Kevin Santana, but it looks like it's going to be done pretty easy through that little dog leg. He's going to get that done before turn 1. Bird going to see if he can follow Santana through on the outside. Nope. Jackman says not this time as Jackman eases that car over to the right, and Bird's going to have to retry, figure out another spot. Watching the whole thing is Hill. And let's stay on this for a little bit because here comes David Williams. Go ahead, Sam. I'm sorry.
I'm going to say, those of you may notice at the back of a picture there that Stephen McGarvey, 2nd place in GT1, just pit.
Williams
3
just
wide.
gets by, yeah, and now Bird's going to get this done, I think, Smitty.
Yeah, up the inside is Bird. Very, very close as there goes Jackman over the curb. Jackman's going to stay with him side by side to the very next quarter. Jackman to the inside, Bird to the outside. Who's going to have the advantage? Looks like Jackman is another right-hander coming up. Can Bird hold the outside? Does a nice job. Here we go.
And
Very, very tight.
Yeah,
And then
look
here
who's
comes
right behind
Chase
him.
Hudson behind them, yes.
Yeah, this was a great move by Stephen to come in the lap before he would have gotten involved in all of this. This is holding up our GT1 leader.
So Hudson
Oh,
now
and
gets
into the back.
into the back of the prototype of Gerard.
No, and that's a huge point that Sam just made for GT1 strategy. That is huge by McGarvey, not having to get held up by this. Right now, your leader, Chase Hudson, in that purple and black car, is getting held by this fantastic battle that we're watching. Up the inside, here comes Hudson. Is he going to come to the pits right now and get out of this mess?
Too late now.
He goes.
I mean, he might, but no, he stays out.
So remember, Postma has peeled off from 3rd position, and McGarvey peeled off from 2nd position, and Hudson.
Bird.
Bird still, there's a great battle going on. Jackman doing a great job fending off cars from both directions.
One of the best fights we have on course right now is for 5th and 6th in GT3. Here comes the rump from your onboard right in with Ryan Bird. He lets the prototype through in the braking zone. He's not going to be able to do it here. Got to give huge props to Robert Jackman just there in front, and there may be a racing driver holding the outside. He's able to make things happen. Nice job for him holding on to it.
You
Going through here.
You mentioned McGarvey and Postma, Bill. McGarvey did come out of a pit still ahead of Postma, so they'll either be in second and third as the order they were, depending on how much our leader's getting held up here.
About a 1 second lead from McGarvey over Postma. That's about where they were before, but they're not having clean track either. They're having to work their way around right now the car of David Henry, so they're being held up as well. Robert Tinsey, though, still out there running hot laps. 20-second lead over Quinn, who's yet to come in, and Ponik, who's yet to come in. David Williams also yet to come in, I believe, if I look on my timing and scoring. In the prototypes, the leader of all the cars who've come in is Gerard.
Here comes Hudson. Took him long enough. You could tell he was coming in because he had a prototype right behind him, and he hugged the inside curve to make sure that the prototype didn't go down the inside. He really wanted to make sure that he was able to commit now. Right now.
So what we like to do here now is pick up McGarvey. This is going to be for the lead. He's coming around what I'm going to call the final corner, even though there's this little dog leg to go. McGarvey has crossed pit entrance. Has Hudson come out yet? Hudson is now he's rolling.
He's got a long way to go, but those 10 S's actually will give him the advantage on the inside as they go down that back straightaway. He'll have the inside. This is going to be very close, guys.
He won't. He's got track position right now, but he won't have a momentum. He runs into the grass a little bit on pit exit there. A bit of a weird place for grass, if you ask me. Here comes the prototype of Dino Topic. He's in between them. Right now, Hudson has the lead. Now, McGarvey, I understand why he was just handing back, playing it safe in the first half of a race. Strategy's not going to work. You can't play it patient anymore. This is going to get wild between these two in the second half of this event.
Sam, is that a bullet dodged by our leader or by Hudson? I had to assume that he was going to lose more out on that traffic.
Yeah, I would agree with you there.
Well,
of course. Did he take enough fuel?
and I'm not sure how easy a time that McGarvey had when he came out. He had stuff to deal with as well. It wasn't quite as much of a pinata full of bees that Hudson was dealing with, but McGarvey had his work cut out for him too. Now keep an eye on this is Santana. That's going to cost, again, boy, this traffic everywhere. It's going to cost McGarvey more time. Postma right behind these guys. Tinsey, Bob the Blade working his way now through these GT3 leaders one more time.
But let's get the camera on Roberto Montero, actually, because he's a GT1 leader right now, but as Tinsey comes into the pits, Montero is in the pit stall. I was wondering if he would be able to get out in time to mix up with the top three, because he had been in fourth, but no, he's in his pit stall for a long time. That's very unfortunate for Montero. I was wondering if he was going to be able to fight for a podium position.
Looking at the GT3s, we haven't covered them for a while. Again, it's still Pac-Man Paquin up there by about 8 seconds on Booth. Now, is Booth being challenged? No, Smitty. He's got about 2 seconds back to his next guy, and that's Fleming.
Yeah, it's actually pretty free and clear for these guys. They're actually hitting laps, and honestly, they've been looking at their mirrors more than anything else, and they're not looking at other GT3 drivers. They're looking at prototypes and GT1s. They try to make it through. As right now, you see side by side, once again, Robert and Ryan's show. In the green car is Bird, Ryan Bird, trying to make things happen. He's going to go to the outside. Come on, Bird. It's going to try to do it again, but he's got more help in the form of Dave Hill. It is a 3-car battle right now, side by side on the main straightaway. Bird in the green car. It's going to be Jackman on the inside. Down to the friggin' center. This is unbelievable, these guys right now. Side by side. Is Hill going to be able to take advantage?
Jackman fights it off. Going to force Bird on the outside. Not going to get it down there. Now Hill has the preferred position, but before he gets there, Jackman is able to cage the Bird, and Jackman holds that spot. Great fighting going on. That's the battle for 1, 2, 3, 4. Was that 6th position overall in class? Bird not done.
No, Bird's got to be like, what do I got to do to get this spot? Good spot right here, but Jackman's been phenomenal under the brakes. On the outside, gets it done once again. Jackman has been awesome on the outside and under braking to be defensive. Not in the traditional sense of blocking, but just actually holding the outside and being very good at positioning. Once again, Jackman has it. Bird attacking. Dave Hill trying to find the spot, as you would say, Bill, in the popcorn speed.
Now Bird should have a little momentum on the outside. It's going to be hard. No, he's going to lose momentum, and that's maybe give an opportunity for Hill to duck in there. Great three-car battle. Bird trying to drive with one eye looking forward and one eye looking back at Hill.
No, for sure. Absolutely. This is the best fight. And G3 up the inside. This is a great opportunity. If he can get a run, he could have him. It's going to be Bird. Here comes Jackman back to the inside.
And you're just going to have to wait a little bit there. Dino says, no, I'm not waiting. I'm going through my prototype. So Dino gets through, and that means that Hill's going to get the spot. And in the blink of an eye, Robert Jackman loses 2 positions. But I'm not sure he's done. In fact, he's going to come into the pits. He's had enough of that.
This could be huge for Jackman, actually. If he can get the service done, get back out, quick stop, he could actually find himself getting right back into that 5th spot, depending on how the cycle works out.
The GT1 lead could get interesting here, because Chase Hudson has a prototype alongside him, and the prototype of John O'Day gets by, but can Stephen get a run here? Coming out of turn 3, Hudson didn't have a desired line through the center S's, but no, once again, whenever McGarvey just has that perfect opportunity, he hasn't capitalized on it yet.
As we look there, as we are watching there, McGarvey. So this has been a really good race that these guys are putting on here. Battles in all the way around. Hudson and McGarvey continue on. Not sure if that's not going to get decided until the last lap. I do think, though, that once McGarvey's able to get around Hudson, he may be able to distance him. What I want to follow up on now is the GT1, or the prototype status. Everybody's made their pit stop, I believe. Kinsey is up, our leader, no surprise there. Gerard is in second, but am I showing, now I was showing Williams my timing and scoring. Where are we showing him? I guess in 5th. In fact, as I say that, Williams almost loses it right as I found him there. He's able to gather it up. We don't need to go there, but that was close. So it's still Quinn and Ponick running 3rd and 4th. And they have made their pit stops, so they come out running right next to each other as usual. And then rounding out the top 5 is David Williams. So there's your 5 in the prototype. Sam, why don't you take a second and run us down the top 5, since all the pit cycles are done, of the GT1s.
Yeah, well, I think we've given these guys enough screen time today. McGarvey was actually just flashing his headlights at Hudson going down the front straight, kind of like, hey, I'm a prototype, let me by. Hudson wasn't fooled by it, apparently. Meanwhile, once again, Brandon Postma runs off from 3rd place. He's not at 24 incident points yet, though. And now in 4th place in GT1 is Paul Lindsay. I thought it was going to be, as Jason Gerard gets really out of shape in the first turn, back end prototypes, I thought it was going to be Roberto Montero, but he had a really slow stop, and that's actually cost him that disposition to Leif Peterson.
Yeah, Montero was running up there. We haven't heard much from Leif Peterson, having a nice run inside the top 5. Still, this 3-car battle is hard to get away from it. This 3-car battle for the lead of GT1s is going to be Hudson and McGarvey and Postma. Let's go ahead. We'll leave it for just a second. I'll keep an eye on it. We'll go back to it if we need to. Smitty, why don't you tell us what's going on in the GT3s?
Well, in GT3, the first thing I got to talk about, how about the first pit stops of the day? That's going to be John Pac-Man Paquin, your pole sitter, your leader. He's in the pits. Oh, wait, who's that right behind him? Yeah, 2nd place in class. That is the man, Ross Booth. Just behind him, also getting his service done.
Yeah, here we go for the GT1. A horrible exit from the final turn by Chase Hudson. Once again, McGarvey gets alongside him, and this time he's going to get really alongside him. Nose to nose, 2 Corvettes. Now he has the inside line through turn 2 in the centre of the centre S's, but he is not going to have a desired line on the exit unless he can carry the momentum down on the run to turn 4. He's on the outside. They're side by side, nose to nose. Brandon Postma back there in the popcorn position. But Hudson, it looks like he has just held on to his strongest challenge yet. No. Yeah, here comes McGarvey. Now he's going to have the inside, or is he? Hudson could close the door if he wanted to. no, McGarvey's still there.
Look at Postman just right there behind him, looking for a hole, looking for a way to get through. He might do it right here, right on the back bumper of the 09. Just trying to stay right with him. Now he's going to cut back underneath. He's going to go with Hudson, and he'll cut back over the other way. He'll go with McGarvey, a slight contact. Here comes Postman.
Hudson did not want to give up that lead. He walked McGarvey all the way over to the side of the track, realised they were going to wreck. If he didn't do that, kind of backed off a little bit. That's all McGarvey needed. And Postman was there to capitalise, moves up into second place. McGarvey missed the apex there on the final turn though, which is what Hudson did last lap around, actually ended up ultimately costing him the lead and potentially the win to this race. I believe McGarvey is faster. Hudson really needs to work now to hang on to these two.
Look at the run.
Postman challenges for the lead. This will help Hudson hold on to these two.
Well, yeah, now it goes right back to Hudson. Postman was able to capitalize to go to second, but now here comes Hudson. He's going to be right, as you say, in the popcorn position, try to take the fight to these two. Way onto the outside to come around. Look at Hudson dart back across this track.
Oh, and Postman, I wondered if he was going defensive. No, he was going offensive on McGarvey there.
And surprisingly, McGarvey has not been able to run away with it. Now here comes Postman looking to the inside.
This is what McGarvey needs. McGarvey needs these two to battle for second.
Now it won't be long. These guys are coming up behind our GT3 leader of John Paquin. Postman doing a good job of hanging on to the back of McGarvey. And just to review what we saw there on that pass for the lead between McGarvey and Hudson, that went on for 2/3 of a lap. Both drivers not able to close the door on the other one.
McGarvey completely missed the apex on the final turn. That's the second lap in a row he's done that. And that's what's keeping Postman in striking range. He would have had a good gap going down the front straight otherwise.
Yeah, he's got to run. He's going to try to go to the inside. He's got to. Now watch this though, because McGarvey's so much better on the braking zone. Let's see if Postman forces the issue. McGarvey able to outbrake him on the outside as they go side by side. Postman's got to hold on to that position. He's not going to be able to do it.
You got to give huge kudos to these guys who are on the outside. We saw it in GT3, seeing it again in GT1. The guy on the outside is not dead in the water. He's fighting back.
Look here, we got all three leaders on the same straight. John Paquin, GT3 leader, going through turn 4 right now. Next car in line, Robert Tinsey, and then the battle for the lead.
Postman tried to duck in behind as Tinsey went through. He tried to duck in behind Tinsey as McGarvey had to give way. Now Postman dives it in deep there. It's not going to work. Watching the whole thing as Hudson, a great 3-car battle going on behind him. And now they're coming up, like Sam said, they're coming up on John Paquin. So Paquin's got leaders of both classes to let around. The first one's going to be easy. The second one might be a little harder.
Meanwhile, David Williams just took third place in the prototype battle. All right, this is a turn. Yeah, this is a turn McGarvey has messed up the last 2 times, but he gets it right this time. Smithy.
Well, actually, I was just going to comment on Williams. Williams had been actually fighting with Pony there for a while, and he was actually able to make things happen after a few failed attempts. We've seen this from several different classes. You can see right behind him the duo of Quinn and Ponik right there with him. And remember earlier, Ulmer having those issues. He's trying to fight back from those issues and trying to cut back with these guys. But right now, in that green car is Black, and green car that is Ulmer in 6th. He's trying to fight back after those early issues. In front of him, Ponik and Quinn. Once again, as Bill said early on, those guys attached to the hip. And in front of them, just getting beat was Williams. So it's actually pretty close. Remember, Ulmer, P2 overall, or P3 overall, he's right at the front end. He's going to have a lot of work to do here in the prototypes if he's going to make any headroad.
And I'm not showing. Are you guys? Can you find Robert Jacklin? Has he left the server? He's not showing up for me. Maybe incident it out for Robert Jacklin. I was going back to review to see how that Bird Hill Jackman battle that we had been following, how that sorted out after the pit stops, but we don't see. Now we'll go back up to McGarvey. Oh, and then we go back. We're looking at the prototypes. I'm sorry. We're looking Ponik in that fight with Quinn. Both those drivers have been passed by David Williams. Remember, Williams had that early spin, able to make that up. Then the other guy we were keeping an eye on, we thought that Ulmer might be able to run these guys down. It's still about 4.5 seconds back to Ulmer running in 6th overall.
And Bill, I do have an update for you from Jackman. He actually got in the back of another driver going into the Senna S's. He did indeed incident out. So Jackman was in the fight for a strong run. He actually got in the back of it. Looked like Billy Smith in the GT1s, and that actually put too many incidents on his account, and he's done for the day. Let's see if we can get on replay right here.
As we're looking at last incident here for Jackman, we think this maybe not the contact, but it might have been the one that got him eliminated as he went wide, and well, he's still there.
Yeah, when I saw it was Jackman going to the back of Smith, I think going to the S's, so it might be the end of this particular lap.
We couldn't get it, but nevertheless, a tough break for Jackman, who was having a nice run and a good battle.
You know, and actually that's a huge point with the incidents. If you have a good, strong battle with another driver, you put up a couple of 2Xs here or there, a couple of 1Xs going off, you get down to the end of the wire here, you look at the clock, we're looking at about 11 minutes to go, and you need those incidents right now to really get the fight on. If you don't have them, it could be game over.
The reason you see these leaders a bit closer than probably what you would expect again in GT1 is because Jason Girard just went by them. I think it cost Stephen McGarvey a bit of time. Brandon Postma just hanging back there waiting to see if McGarvey makes a mistake that he can capitalize on. But talking about incidenting out, I'm worried that's going to happen to Brandon Postma. Every lap I've watched him, it seems he's abusing track limits in one turn enough to be giving him a 1X. If those are accumulating enough, that could definitely stop him from finishing this race. We might have a different drive on the podium.
Sam, I gotta wonder if that's the case with McGarvey and Hudson as well. Remember, all that wheel-to-wheel, did they accumulate a few incidents of their own? This trio at the front, they could be in danger zone.
I just went through all the GT drivers. Not a real battle there. Everything pretty much settled down. Prototype's pretty much the same, other than the Ponick-Quinn fight that is pretty much going on. Right now, it's Ponick ahead. Quinn running in 5th position. We will keep an eye on as John Ulmer now. Last time I talked to you guys, it was 4.5 seconds. Ulmer now has down to under 3 seconds. We'll see if he has enough time. With only 10 minutes to go, he's got to get hustling if he hopes to get into top 5.
There's a battle for 4th now in GT1. Paul Lindsay has fallen into the clutches of Leif Peterson.
And honestly, Peterson having one of the quieter races, working to get up into the 4th. We haven't given him much attention. Let's see if we can follow it a little bit. There's Ponick in that prototype behind him. Lindsay out in front in that kind of white car with a red stripe going down the middle. Peterson behind him.
And there you see on the interval in the bottom of your screen, Roberto Montero is now only 1.5 seconds behind Peterson. Less than that, as Peterson had to let traffic by.
Yeah, I think Montero had the speed. He just had, like you said earlier, a horrible pit stop. So we'll keep an eye on Montero can get up there as well. So still a lot of stuff to keep an eye on there. Is Lindsay now going to let Quinn go by? Sorry, that's Ponick that gets around him. Then Quinn in that black and red machine flashing his lights. I'm not sure what that means to Lindsay.
Oh, there's a big traffic jam going on for the GT1 leaders, and that's actually going to force Stephen McGarvey out wide a little bit. That could lead Brandon Postma to make a challenge for the lead as they go up the hill. He thinks about it, he doesn't, but you can see just how many cars are around them, mixing up the GT1 lead again.
That's Christopher Simon back in the prototype trying to work their way through those GT1 leaders. McGarvey out in front. I really think Postma is just going to really have to bite the bullet one of these times and push his braking point just a little bit farther and dive it in there. Simon running, he's the last prototype running right now. Oh, Simmons, sorry. Doing a good job of being patient, Sam.
Yeah, Smithy, you provided us with an update on GT3 there. It seems to be a quick one.
Yeah, these guys, after the issue that Jackman had, it really busted up the only fight we had. on screen right now, you do see our leader, John Peckman. I want to just point out that go to the end here, unless something dramatic happens, these guys are spread out so much. I don't see a huge change happening right now. Up front, it is John Peckman in first, Ross Booth second. On screen right now, you see him, and then Patrick Fleming in third, followed by Paul Darling in fourth. And just to finish out our top 5, the aforementioned Ryan Bird, who wish he hadn't had that early issue. Ryan Bird in 5th. That is your GT3 field. We're going to concentrate on the prototype and GT1s for most of the race here.
Yeah, we kind of draw the attention here with 7 minutes to go. We're going to follow where the action is. And when you have the 3-car battle for a lead in a class, that's really where we have to go. We are going to keep an eye, though, on John Ulmer now, who's picked up another second off of Matt Quinn's deficit. Actually, he's down to 1 second, so we will watch Ulmer working his way. He's going to have a chance to work his way through Ulmer and Ponick. I'm sorry, Ulmer's going to work through Quinn and Ponick. Let's get those names right. Meanwhile, as you see Ulmer right there.
Brandon Postma, that right-hander hairpin, I believe it's about turn 10. He keeps locking up his right front tyre as he goes into that, and he kind of overdid it this time round. It really hurt him on the exit. You can see that has allowed Chase Hudson to close down on him for second. I almost wonder, though, if Hudson doesn't want to fight Postma. I almost think he's thinking big picture here. Hey, I've been leading this race. I want to win this race. I'm not going to win this race by fighting Postma, and that proves that I am completely wrong. He's going to fight Postma for second place.
Over-under. He took a defensive line. Wasn't any way to do the over-under there, but Postma took that defensive line down into 1, left no room for Hudson to go. But like Smitty pointed out early, just because you take that defensive line, the guy on the outside has been able to hang in there, take that outside line, you stick with it long enough, eventually you find yourself in the preferred position as the course twists back and forth, left to right. Ryan Bird coming over the mic right now saying he was startled. Quinn with a 1 second lead over Ulmer. Ulmer is coming with 5 minutes to go. I think he's going to have time to get there. Looks like Ponick, though, is safely out ahead by about 4 seconds on Quinn. So it's really a battle between Ulmer and Quinn.
Has everyone had their fuel issues sorted at this point in the season, Bill? I know at the start of the season we had cars running out was quite common because everyone was getting used to how these races were run. I don't know how it's changed as the years gone on.
It's kind of a good and bad thing. The more confident they get with their fuel, the more confident they are of cutting it short. So just because they know more doesn't necessarily mean they're going to have enough fuel. All it does mean is that they decide to be a little more aggressive in their fuel calculations.
David Williams,
look at that,
in that prototype, will be about to go alongside Brandon Postma here. Although it might happen on the run down between turns 3 and 4, and that's what's going to happen, and that won't cost. Oh,
it does!
Comes down,
he didn't clear Postma, or Postma pushed him. It depends on your point of view. But one thing for certain is the yellow prototype came out the worst of it. Sam, what do you see?
Postma had a lot of room on the left. Williams didn't have a lot of room on the right.
As we ride on board with Wilson now. Well, that's a tough call.
Yeah, it looked like both of them were trying to play it real close to the chest. I mean, it was a late. It may look late from Postman's point of view. You know, Williams has got the head of steam on the outside. He played it real close to Postma, and the closer you play it, the less room you have for error, the less room you have for margin. There was no margin, and well, you have contact.
I think that's Postma saying, look, I'm in a battle, and I've been in a battle for the last 47 minutes with McGarvey and Hudson. You're running all by yourself. You can wait. Postma trying to take every inch that he could to not lose ground. He couldn't afford to lose ground to McGarvey, which now he has. McGarvey now out in front.
And Bill, do you think it has anything to do, or could it have any influence that Williams is not going for points? He's a privateer.
Probably. Probably he's going to be easier pill to swallow as well. Now, this is interesting. Here comes Ponick around these guys. I think with 3 minutes left, there's a chance that we're going to be able to cover the battles that are really going on. Ponic's dicing his way through because it won't be long until Quinn gets there. And let's go back to Quinn right now. This is 4th overall in the prototypes. We've been watching it. Big Cheese, John Ulmer, has got to the back of Quinn. And there's 2 drivers, Sam. We talked about Ulmer and David Williamson. Both very fast, both had problems.
Yep.
So Quinn, this is a battle for 4th. Ulmer has got up there. I don't think he's going to be able to get up to Ponick. And meanwhile, up ahead, Ponick working his way around, and this is heated up now with McGarvey, Postma, and Hudson. They're right back at it again.
Yeah, they are, and one of the drivers who we thought would challenge these guys earlier on, Roberto Montero, remember, he dropped back to 6th place. He is now out of the race. Not entirely sure what happened there. Meanwhile, look at that clock. Only 2 minutes left. We're really going to have a showdown here in GT1.
And Ulmer got around Quinn. Ulmer now moves up into 4th position. Quinn flashing his lights at Ulmer. Maybe Quinn's not done yet. Yeah, Quinn does. He's giving Ulmer a little hard time. Nice run from John.
Not sure how many laps we're going to have left here, because it takes about 1 minute 20 to get around. Robert Tinsley's coming through the last couple of turns right now. He'll cross the line with about 1 minute 20 left on the clock. So we might have 1, we might have 2.
Now we see that Ulmer works his way through. As we're looking there at Tinsley right now. We'll go back to this GT1 class as Ulmer's working his way, knifing his way through. Yeah. Postman's falling down. We'll see how McGarvey does with Ulmer. Ulmer's going to have to hustle.
Tinsley just announced that he got the white flag, but that means for these GT1 cars there's still 1.5 laps to go. Oh, and Ulmer gets into the back of McGarvey and spins! Saves it! Nice job.
We're going to get the replay real quick, and Ulmer was able to get back out ahead of Quinn, so he didn't lose that position.
No, I really don't get that. I mean, that was definitely a difference of opinion on braking zone, but you just don't have anything to play for. I mean, there's a big gap between Ulmer and the next guy on line. Just ride it out.
Well, I guess he has Quinn back behind him, but he worked so hard to get around, he didn't want to give that up. But yeah, I would agree. Now look, McGarvey here as we watch the replay as they go around. McGarvey will have 1 lap to go. Postma's going to have to run him down. Hudson not out of the hunt, though, for second on Postma, so we'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep one eye on our leader, Tinsley.
Yeah, he's coming through the last couple of turns right now.
Robert Tinsley just trying to work his way around. He's got Brandon Garcia in front. Tinsley working his way around. I'm calling the final corner, but now he just has this little dog leg to go through. The winner of round 7 in the Autobahn Motorcar Sports Car Series Horse Car Challenge goes to Robert Tinsley in the prototypes. See where Paquin is. Paquin's got a whole lap to go. So our next leader that's going to come across is going to be, we can follow this all the way through. We're going to go back to McGarvey, Postma, and Hudson. They're going to go 1, 2, 3 in one kind of order. We're not sure what that order is going to be, though.
Well, I think McGarvey is going to win it here. The battle is really going to be for second place. And I think these two are kind of pushing their incident limits a bit too much to really race aggressively, but a bad exit from turn 11 by Hudson. I think that will pretty much seal the deal for Postma there in second place. It looks like Stephen McGarvey is about to win in GT1.
Has to work his way around Jim McGinnis in the GT3 car, and Sam has called it. There's your winner in the GT1 round 7. 2 in a row for McGarvey. Brandon Postma gets second. Chase Hudson third.
Paul Lindsay just wrecked. He was still racing for 4th place. He was battling. Now, was it a part of a battle or was it unrelated? Because meanwhile, Paquin
coming around the final corner as well. He's got nobody to race. David Henry out in front of him in the purple and black car. John Paquin picks up another win. The Pac-Man, round 7 win in the GT3s. Let's see if we can go back and figure out, well, then what happened back to Lindsay.
I think he just lost it on his own. And unfortunately, that will reduce him to 6th position. Brandon Garcia also got by him, so Paul Lindsay goes from 4th to 6th in GT1 on the final lap.
It looks like John O'Day in that prototype had a very close call. Not sure if he had contact or not. That was could have gone from bad to worse for some of those guys.
O'Day races the whole 60 minutes and then has trouble at minute 61. All right, I believe we've got all the cars across now. All the battles have been decided. So what we're going to do here on the Global Sim Racing Channel is take a very short break, but we'll be back quickly to run down the entire standings, do driver interviews, and then close up shop. Back in just a few. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sportscar Challenge. That's a lot of multi-syllable words I just did off the top of my head. And its coverage of round 7, which was an exciting race indeed. Let's run down the standings for all 3 classes. For the GT, if I can get to it here, for the prototypes, I'm not going to be able to, I'm going to have to do it off the screen here. Robert Tinsey was your leader. Jason Gerard was in second. Ponick finished third. Nice job from Mark there. John Ulmer able to make up for his mistake. Got back up into 4th position, just getting around Matt Quinn at the very end. Mark Wilson, a very quiet 6th position. John O'Day, we saw him have a little trouble there on the 60th minute and 32nd, but still able to bring it home in 7th. Dino Topic, the quiet Canadian, also a very quiet run in 8th position. 9th and 10th go to Christopher Simmons and Matt Owens. And then 11th position, the last driver in that class, was Kevin Santana. Sam?
Then we got to the GT1 leaders, who made their sponsors very happy today. Stephen McGarvey won that race ultimately, ahead of Brandon Postma, and Chase Hudson fell back to 3rd place. That pretty much all happened in one lap, although it was very late on that those all switched around positions. Leif Peterson was 4th in the GT1 class, ahead of Brandon Garcia. Rounded out the top 5 despite us not mentioning him a whole lot. Paul Lindsay was back there 6th in class, and then David Williams was a prototype who got involved in a late incident, who ranks 17th overall, 18th overall, my apologies. David Sockrider, Billy Smith, and Christopher Sherburn in 21st overall. They were all GT3 cars in 7th, 8th, and 9th positions, respectively. Smithy?
And bringing home that GT3 win, one more on the tally, John Pac-Man Paquin. Going to get 22nd overall, 1st in GT3. A strong run for 2nd place in class, and 23rd overall, Ross Booth in the 03 machine. Patrick Fleming able to hold on to that spot, even though he had a little bit of under 5 from Darling there. He's 24th, 3rd, getting the last spot on the podium there, Patrick Fleming. 25th, Paul Darling. Ryan Bird able to come back for 26th overall and 6th in class, followed by Dave Hill, 27th, Jim McInnes, 28th, David Henry, 29th, Emmanuel Ehere in 30th, followed by Robert Sklenka in 31st, and Sheldon Woloshin, 32nd for the bulk of the GT3 field there, Bill.
Miguel Meyer, we round out the back here, 33rd position. Miguel Meyer, Robert Montero behind him. Robert Jackman, a tough break for him, but boy, he was entertaining while he was on the track. Unfortunately, the entertainment factor didn't transfer over to the points, as Robert's going to finish 35th position. Sheldon Rosenblum, not sure if he really was supposed to be in the prototype, going to finish 20 laps back. And then Brett Trozine actually did get out there. Looks like he's going to finish 38th back then. So we had 37 drivers take the grid. Okay, we're going to let Samuel Ryman talk to our prototype winner today. No surprise, it is Robert Tinsey. Let's see if we can get Bob the Blade in here. Here we go. And Bob the Blade Tinsey going to talk to Sam Ryman.
Yeah, first of all, Bob the Blade, I've got to confess, I didn't quite pick you to win this race, but you were able to navigate traffic quite cleanly, run fast all race long. At the end of the day, you came home with a 10-second win, so congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It was a great race. Everybody, I think, did really good sharing the track.
Yeah, it did seem like a very clean race out there. Do you think there was anything contributing to that? We noticed that the track temperatures were quite cool, so, the cars were gripping all right.
Yeah, I think everyone was just kind of taking their time and, seeing how it plays out. At least from my point of view, I didn't see too many bad moves or anything. So, yeah, I think everybody was just kind of chilled out.
So I believe this is your 6th win in the last 7 races. How would you rank it amongst those other victories that you've had of recent?
It was pretty satisfying. I had a hard time figuring out a setup before the race. I was kind of torn between two, just kind of like Mossport, but finally just decided to settle on one and plan to drive it 8 or 9 tenths just to kind of keep it clean but yet quick. And once I had a gap, I just made sure I managed it and overfilled on my tank just to make sure I hadn't run out of gas.
Yeah, we were talking about that, how the drivers have adjusted their fuel strategy as the season has gone on. Now, of course, the interesting switchbacks that this circuit has here really make you have to think about how to pass a car in front of you so that you're also going to be ahead of him 2 turns in the future. Was there anything you learned today, you think, that you could carry into a Road Atlanta in 2 weeks' time that will help you pick off another win there?
Nothing really in particular. Just I think one of the main points is you have to learn the drivers you're driving with, and you know their capabilities. That's kind of what I focus on in these races. I know certain drivers like to stick to the inside at a certain turn or the outside, and certain drivers like to pull over. So I think it's just more of recognizing, the driver's ability in front of you.
Yeah, well, you put on a fantastic show, Robert, and you were able to get by the traffic very well, so a well-deserved win. We look forward to seeing if you can do the same in 2 weeks' time at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, I think John's going to have that one, but thanks anyway.
All right, and that was our overall winner, Robert Tinsey there, Bill.
Our overall winner and the prototype winner, I guess that's all in the same. Now we're going to talk to the driver who finished second in the GT1 class. It's going to be Brandon Postma. Brandon, there were 34 other drivers in the field, but honestly, we could have spent the whole 60 minutes watching you, Stephen McGarvey, and Chase Hudson put on a show. You guys were battling nose to tail for the entire time.
Yeah, that was great. That was a lot of fun racing those guys. Good, hard, clean racing. It's a tough place to pass. So we're, just out there just waiting for somebody to make a little mistake, a little bobble, or get a good run, and just duking it out. Just good, hard racing.
One of the things I noticed when in that battle that you had a real good view on there between Hudson and McGarvey there, that thing went on for 3/4 of a lap, and it was like neither driver could close the door. The outside line seemed to really work. They were able to hang down their position. Then they get the preferred line coming into the next part.
Yeah, that was great. I was just kind of, watching the show and just kind of, picking each apex and kind of going back and forth between each one and to figure out, okay, who on the outside wasn't going to be able to stick so I can make a pass. And both of them were really able to make it work. Hats off to them. I know I probably couldn't do it. So a lot of fun.
Okay, you were first to peel off. Was there any thought about just getting out of this bee's nest of trouble that you were in? You came in early, and actually when it all settled out, there you were back in the same position you were when you came in.
Yeah, that's exactly what my thought process was. We were trying to catch a couple more of the GT3 traffic, so I thought I was going to be able to pit in and make some headway running some clean laps out by myself. So I was a little disappointed when I saw first McGarvey come out and then Chase come out kind of on the same order, almost the same distance between us. But made it fun.
Then finally at the end, when you did get up into second, you had a couple shots at McGarvey, especially going into one. It looked like the Aston Martin, you just couldn't take it in there as deep as the Corvette could dive into one. You had to back out both times. Yeah,
I think I was able to brake a little later and gain on my time there, but on corner exit, it's definitely where I was losing some time. So, it's just the balance of the two cars and just trying to do the best I can with what I got.
Yeah, it was good. Well, it was exciting to watch. We covered as much as we could. Congratulations. Good luck as the series moves to Road Atlanta. And this should help you in the points and your team as well.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, Bill.
Brandon Postma, second place finisher today. And now I think we're going to get to talk to the Pac-Man. Go ahead and we'll see if we can bring him in here. Oh, we're going to talk to David Williams. All right. We'll let Smitty talk to Dave.
Yeah, indeed. It looks like our GT3 winner not available at the time for a quick chat. So I'm going to talk to David Williams if I can. David, you got me?
Yeah, I got you, Smitty. What's up, man?
It looks like a bit of an eventful run, bud. You were towards the sharp end, and not so much. Then came back, and then not so much again. Tell me about it.
Well, I was battling with some frame per second issues that had my screen looking like the old pole position. So, especially going into turn 4 in the final turn, for some reason, I couldn't tell if my car was getting upset or if it was just the screen flickering, and 2 times, I guess, wrong. So, wound up a little sideways.
Well, I'll tell you what, you were looking pretty dang good there, bud. Tell us a little bit about that first one. You said you had some frame rate issues, but you were able to fight your way back. Did you expect yourself to be at the sharp end, being a privateer in this group?
I'm fairly good in the HPD, even though it's been a while since I've been in it. I thought I might be able to battle for the win with Bobby, but I just didn't have the seat time, and you can't really substitute for the seat time in these cars. Once I spun the first time, I was hoping for a top 5, and then when I spun the second time, I was like, well, maybe I can finish 6th. I was really shocked to see myself come out right behind 3rd and 4th after my pit stop, and I was like, well, hell, I might be able to salvage a podium out of this. And then, things were going good until about 5 minutes left. Still don't know exactly what happened there.
Well, hey, how about pointing out for people who don't normally run this series, you're a champion in the Pacific Majors, another championship that runs on iRacing. What makes you decide to go and do a one-off run here, even though, as you say, you're really good in this particular car? What makes you decide to go and run with the Autobahn group this week?
I don't know. I've been wanting to drive an HPD with Bobby. Robert Tenzie, he's actually one of my TNT teammates. I've been wanting to do a race with him for quite a while, and the time just worked out where I had time this time around. And I may try to do a couple more. We'll see how the time works out with the Pacific Majors group. We'll see how that league plays out with the races here. But, I enjoy racing HPD. I enjoy racing with my actual teammates when I can, like the TNT guys. So that's really what made me come over here. I wanted to harass Bobby a little bit, but that plan didn't go too well. But just want to come out and have some fun, man. Stop always taking everything so serious and just have a good time.
I hear you there, but it's all about a good time here in iRacing. It's what it's supposed to be about. Anybody want to give a shout out to you? Obviously put on a show here tonight. People put on notice for the HPDs. Anybody want to say a nod to before I let you go?
I want to say congrats to Bobby for winning. I know he's been killing it in this series. Congrats to all the podium winners. Great job in your respective classes. I always give a shout out to TNT Racing Team. Come check us out, tnt-racing.com. And check out our sponsors. We got some pretty exclusive offers. We got 30% off GTR simulator products, and we've got up to $350 off of Allenberg Racing School packages. So come check us out, www.tnt-racing.com, and see what we're doing over there at TNT.
Well, there you have it. That was not the best run for David Williams that he wanted, but still good to have him in the series. Sam, I know you're probably all done for the day. We're going to go ahead and pass it off to Bill. Bill, I think you got one more guy you want to talk to before we're all done.
Do one more quick one here. We're going to talk real quick to our third place finisher today, Mark Ponick. Mark, you have a copy?
I hear you guys.
Hey, let's first of all, nice race, by the way. It's always fun to watch a race, but it seems like you and Matt Quinn, you guys are like peas and carrots. You always end up together out there on the track. What is the relationship between you guys? Are you like teammates, or is it just coincidental that you always find yourself matched up?
No, we just we've raced another series, and we tend to practice a lot together. But we love it. We'll go from start to finish, like, a second or so in front or behind each other, and just run to the end. I know we jumped into a practice. Both of us have been completely out of races for most of this summer, me especially. And we jumped into practice, and John was going on about how he misses us dogfighting the entire race. Well, I think we gave him one of those today, because that was just a ton of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We watched a lot of you there. You guys are really patient racers. You're hard. You're really what us announcers, it's really annoying to cover, because you guys wait and wait and wait till the opportunity comes up. Then one of you made the pass. I can't read on my notes, but it was finally some lap traffic got in the way, and that's when I guess it was you that finally made the move, got around Matt there.
Well, I think he got around me first. I got some rough traffic coming out of the last turn, and he was able to sneak up and inside on me, and that's cool. He was ahead by a touch, so he went through. And then a little bit later, I think I pulled the reverse on him, but in between we had a whole bunch of side by side and running through corners to the point where every once in a while I get on TeamSpeak and I think I told him at one point, "Damn, that was well done. You defended that like perfectly."
Were you doing the math? Did you see the big cheese back there closing in on both of you?
No, I didn't anyway. I know he took a bit of damage from someone, so I was able to pull away at the end. I had no idea John was coming up on us because the relative, he was a bit too far back. I didn't see him. And then unfortunately we both got burned by taking way too much fuel. I think we both had 6 or 7 laps left in the tank. But in the end, I mean, at one point we were talking about how we're kind of slowing ourselves down so someone might catch up because we're fighting too hard. And our response is basically, so what?
Yeah.
Who cares? This is just so much fun. I don't care if I come last at this point.
Well, it's always fun to watch you race, and congratulations on a podium finish today, and good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, thanks, man. I hope to make a whole bunch more this summer. Thanks a lot.
Mark Ponick, the shortest podium finisher in the prototype class today. Okay, that's going to wrap it up for us here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Let's see if we can get Mark out of here. Otherwise, he's going to jump in and talk to me during the closing credits. We would like to thank, well, let me tell you who we'd like to thank as I scroll down here to my Joe Peak written script. We would like to thank, well, I can tell you right now off the top of my head, even before I get there, we'd like to thank everybody at the Autobahn Motorcar Group, Sportscar, all those guys from Autobahn Motorcar Group. That's who we want to thank. And of course, John Ulmer, who puts this whole thing together. We'd also like to thank, and now I found my spot, of course, we'd like to thank all the software and hardware that we use on the broadcast today that you see listed on the screen. I should know this by heart. It's the same people to thank every week. Additional thanks to our music contributors. That's Eric Eckelman and Casey Lalonde. Hey, Casey's got some new music out. I heard it on one of the broadcasts. Go ahead and download some of their stuff. It's really good for some new music in there. If you're a single guy and you want to impress the girl, bring her up for some tea and crackers and put on some Casey Lalonde. Thanks to my teammate Sam, Smitty, and Amjad and Dougie. Don't do the tea and crackers. That's not going to work. And if you'd like to find out more about GRC, you can find it, of course. Where are you going to go? You're going to go to the GlobalSimRacingChannel.com, along with archived racings and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel. The next race is going to be Road Atlanta. That's Monday, September 12th. 9:15 Eastern Time, or for those people living on the better part of the U.S., 6:15 Pacific. We also, upcoming races, you can find about all of them at the Global Sim Racing channel. You can get the calendar there to see what's going on. And so now, until next time, I'm not going to storm the capsule because that's only when I am the official lead announcer, so we're going to leave that out. Race clean, race hard, and we will all see you on the track.